Support for NPR and the following message come from Spectrum Business, with connectivity solutions to help your business stay online and on track. Reliable connections, responsive support, and tailored solutions. Spectrum.com/business. Restrictions apply. Services not available in all areas.
When you hear the phrase finance bro, what or who comes to mind?
For me, it is a white guy of a certain age. He's probably like 5'9". He tells women he's 6 feet tall. There is a little bit of like performance of success.
First of all, I want to stand up for 5'9" men everywhere. I've often asked, is that a real 5'9"? I'm like, yes. Who exaggerates about that? But pretty similar to Roxana, except I believe the current finance bro outfit is a puffer vest that you wear with your company logo. You walk in packs out of your office to get your slop bowl. It is not quite as cool as being a finance bro in the Gordon and Gekko days. That said, people may dislike you, but many of them want to be you or maybe date you because they assume you are either making a lot of money now or are on your way to being a money-making person.
Over the years, I've been noticing one particular archetype that has endured the test of time. The finance bro. You know, there's The Big Short, Wolf of Wall Street, and iconic characters like Wall Street's Gordon Gekko, American Psycho's Patrick Bateman. High-paying, high-powered jobs, skyscraper corner offices, capitalism personified on the big screen, or even the small screen. Finance bro aesthetics have even permeated our social media trends. I even think about the quarter zip movement, a trend that became popular in 2025 for young black men on TikTok looking to, quote, upgrade their look as they join the job market. And then, of course, there's our prestige TV diet. Mad Men, Billions, Succession, Mountain Head, and of course, my absolute personal favorite, Industry on HBO. What's at the root of our love affair with the finance bro? And how does he keep reinventing himself? To help me answer this question, I'm joined by Chief Correspondent and Business Insider and host of Channels, Peter Kafka.
Hello.
And Roxana Haddadi, TV critic for Vulture and New York Magazine.
Thank you.
Very often when people, I think, talk, in everyday, conversation about why they think our economy is so messed up in their opinion, or why they feel like it's impossible to get a job, or why groceries are so expensive. I mean, increasingly people are looking at finance bros like, okay, is this your fault? I mean, how many times have you seen on social media outlining the ways in which private equity have kind of broken a lot of like American institutions that people really lean on? If it seems that the finance bro might be hurting us, why are we still holding on to him?
Because they look great and they seem to be having fun. And even if they're not the richest people on the show, they still get to go to a fancy restaurant, to court a client. It is foreign, right?
It's exotic, yeah.
I also think like so much of our pop culture appetite is voyeurism and spectacle. And I think that will always endure. I mean, Brittany, like even the way that you've been talking about this, it's like we've sort of used finance bro and tech bro interchangeably, but like you could arguably call Mad Men a show about ad bros.
Ad bros. That was like the hot job at the time. That like the same way that these are kind of hot jobs of today. Yeah.
Exactly. That was the hot job at the time. And it's a job that people don't understand. And I think so much of like television is really interesting to people when you're getting like these episodic chunks of time that are a look into like another world that you're never going to access. I'm never going to really understand what a margin call is, but I'm really going to enjoy watching Industry every week.
Hello, hello. I'm Brittany Luce, and you're listening to It's Been a Minute from NPR, a show about what's going on in culture and why it doesn't happen by accident.
This message comes from LinkedIn, who knows how even one hiring nightmare can ruin your small business dreams. That's why LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant uses insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a personalized shortlist of the best applicants, and even finds candidates you would have otherwise missed, so you can hire right the first time. Start hiring with LinkedIn and post your job for free today at linkedin.com/NPR. This message comes from Amazon One Medical. Your body tells you all kinds of stuff. Headaches and hair loss are its way of saying, something is up over here. Amazon One Medical has 24/7 virtual care, so there's always someone available to listen and help with whatever your body is trying to tell you. Thanks to Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful. This message comes from NPR sponsor, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Finding the right leads can feel like an endless search for sellers. What if you could get to the right conversations faster? From finding new leads to strengthening existing relationships, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is your strategic AI-powered partner. It cuts through the noise with real-time data and insights, backed by LinkedIn's network of over 1 billion professionals. Try it free for 60 days at linkedin.com/benaminute. That's linkedin.com/benaminute. Terms and conditions apply.
So for those who have not yet tapped into industry, the show follows the lives of young bankers and traders looking to make their way up the financial food chain in London. And its lead character is one of the most chaotic finance bros we've seen in a while, Harper Stern.
And I expect you to answer the phone every time I dial. And eye contact. Eric, look at me.
Harper is a young Black American woman who has schemed her way to the top of London's finance world under the tutelage of her mentor, Eric Tao, an Asian American man. Neither one of them fits the finance bro archetype, but they can get down with the best of them. And now that we're wading into industry's 4th season, it's made me wonder, how has industry built upon our preconceived notions of this archetype?
I think that for me, basically what the show is doing is destroying that character or that representation by being more ethnically inclusive with its cast, and by doing the thing that I love when representation does this, which is just that, like, good representation is, you know, like, we can also be terrible. Like, we're also awful. That is not necessarily the domain only of white men. I say that as an Iranian American woman. So I think the show is very specific about the fact that this world and capitalism as a structure is just destructive no matter whoever is part of it. Like, when this show started, it was a lot more like Euphoria than it was like Mad Men.
Yep.
And I think it's become a lot more like Mad Men with time.
I mean, it's set in Britain, and the longer the show goes on, the more it's interested in specific British ideas about class, which are, you know, pretty obscure to me, honestly. And I think probably a lot of the viewers, but it seems now it's more interested in that than it was at the start when it really was a workplace show. It portrays these people as they're all motivated by money, right? No one's there because they want to make the world a better. It's not like a doctor show or a lawyer show where there's some idealist. Like, everyone is there to make money. Everyone there knows that it's a competitive thing. And so to make more money, you will have to step over and on the person to your left and to your right if you want to move up.
Part of like why I really got bought into like industry really quickly, I was like, is because the character of Harper was unlike any other Black woman I'd seen on TV before. There's always some level, as she sees as she continues to move up in the world, that there's always some level of power that she cannot access, but it's the desire for it that is rotting her from the inside out.
And then married with insecurity, right? Like, especially in the first season, she has sort of a Don Draper mystery, and she's keeping that a secret, and that's going to be an issue. And I think she also has a wayward brother in the first season.
Yeah, wayward brother. It comes back around later,
I do think that was interesting that they sort of made that an initial weakness for her, because honestly, if you're killing it at the bank, you know, they're going to let you keep killing it. They're only going to fire you for faking your resume once you've lost them a ton of money.
One of the things that I wasn't prepared to come in with mindset-wise and understanding-wise, and I think showing it through the character of Harper is really smart, is just how different specifically English concepts of like wealth and class are from America. It's very, very different. And I appreciate seeing like Harper come up against that in so many ways. And Eric as well, being the other American character on the show.
I think that's one of the tensions of the show,
Yeah.
right? And again, especially the more it goes on in last season with Rishi explicitly, right? Of Indian descent,
Yes.
lives in London, is hyper successful and has other problems as well, and is literally trying to buy his way into class.
And he can't do it.
And the town he's trying to buy his way into basically doesn't want him there. They don't exactly say that. But it's quite clear that you could have as much money as you wanted, you can never sort of attain a certain specific status there. And that's, I think, the difference between the US.
But I also think the thing that's interesting is that like Harper and Eric end up here because they have sort of flamed out in the US. Like there is a suggestion, I think, like an F. Scott Fitzgerald suggestion that like there are no second acts in American lives. So they've gone to Europe to find that second act. And I think it's interesting to sort of see like in the first seasons, Pierpoint as the bank that they work for is what gives them like prestige and class and like this higher level of access. And then Pierpoint gets bought out, right, by like Arab sovereign wealth funds.
Yeah.
And then the bank gets dismantled and they have to start again on their own. But I think it's very interesting. There's this moment in season 3 when the representatives of the Arab sovereign wealth funds ask the Pierpoint employees, is our money somehow like worse than yours? Like, is your empire better than ours? And so I also like that the show is like asking very specific questions as well about like what is British high class life and like how cloistered is it? Like how much can you really move within it, which I think is sort of fascinating.
I'm really glad you brought up The Great Gatsby, Roxana, because I kind of think about some of the characters in that book as finance bros. They're like from a century ago, but totally valid. I wonder, like, what are your thoughts on how industry has handled the world of finance so far? Because I think about like in Wolf of Wall Street, like it's presented as this like big party. Same thing with The Great Gatsby. It's this big party. In American Psycho, I mean, obviously there's a lot of murder that happens in that movie, in the book, but it's almost like Regency era England for me. Like it's full of all these inane social codes and the most tension is hanging on the tiniest of gestures. How do you think that industry like almost characterizes the world of finance? What kind of world is it?
Well, I think from like a visual perspective, there's very little that is glamorous about their lives, right? Like they don't have real personal lives. They only socialize with each other. Their apartments are mostly empty.
They've got roommates.
Yeah, right? It doesn't look like the money is getting you material things. It
Yeah.
is like the winning that is the point. At least in my eyes, it is not really presenting it as like aspirational in terms of what you acquire, which I think is very different from Wolf of Wall Street, right? Like a lot of the critique of Wolf of Wall Street at the time was like, this sort of looks like a blast. Like, look at Jordan Belfort's house. Like, and I don't think there is any of that within industry.
I do think a core element to all these shows about money is no matter what the creators are trying to critique in terms of avarice and wealth getting and all that,
Yeah.
that it is a lot of fun to be in that world. And you know, I think for a lot of people who don't spend time thinking about business and finance, they assume that being a stockbroker or working at a bank is sort of the most exciting thing. But actually, and I bet the show will get to it, it's the lower end of the totem pole. You want to be at private equity or a hedge fund. And if you go to work at a Pierpoint for a couple years out of school, and then you're going to, you know, after you get your MBA, but you're really training to become someone at private equity or a hedge fund.
Personally, I'll say, I think the industry is a better show than Succession. I know that some people find that. I know some people find that, you know, to be like shaking the table. But hear me out. The characters on Succession, even if they lost the company, even if they never had the love they wanted in their family life, etc., you knew that they would, in their own depraved way, be okay. But on industry, the stakes feel higher. I mean, not everybody who was working at Pierpoint had any kind of safety net. or a particularly strong one if they did. I don't know, it makes me wonder, like, how much does risk matter in the identity, or does risk matter in the identity of a finance bro?
The notion of risk in finance in general is a big idea. And when you move out of the bank specifically and into the tech world and founders that really revel in, I risked it all. I to start this. I left Harvard. I quit my fancy job at the bank to start this thing selling books over in Seattle. You have to have that part of the myth. And there's truth to it, but you really want to play up sort of how you're not a guy at a bank. You're a person who went and created something and you could have failed. And in fact, what they're not saying is, and if I failed at that, I would have gone back to Harvard or my successful father would have rehired me. But it's still a big part of the story they tell themselves and they tell to other people.
I got one last question. What do you think the next iteration of a finance bro will be? Like, I don't know. I know people talk about crypto bros. I kind of feel like they came and went, but we don't yet have AI bros. There could still be time for those, but I don't know. What do you think the next iteration of a finance bro will be?
Maybe we go back to Washington and reboot West Wing and maybe...
Like a Doge bro, Peter?
Just some sort of Washington bro. We're battling it out. I mean...
I think we're already there because I think the spy bro is already like a very strong subgenre of show. Because I think you have things like the Terminal List and you have things like the Night Agent. And I think basically most things that air on CBS, Tracker or Marshalls or CSI, FBI, like I think we're there in terms of like, again, a very like cloistered world that we don't understand, a general like masculine stereotype of someone who is special and specially skilled and is going to save the world. And I feel like we're already sort of like getting there.
On that note, Roxana, Peter, thank you both so much. I have really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you again.
Thanks, Brittany.
Thank you, guys.
That was Business Insiders, Peter Kafka, and Vulture's Roxana Haddadi. And to all of you listening, I want you to know that I see all these sweet messages you've been leaving me. I may be keeping my peace by turning off notifications on my phone, but I want you to know that my whole team and I read every message you leave in the comments and reviews. One of y'all said that you look forward to every episode and literally feel smarter each time you listen. Another said that this show has been a, quote, lighthouse in the storm. Another said that every morning you check to see if there is a new episode of this show. If you relate to any of this, please rate and review the show wherever you're listening. It helps grow our community and is one of the easiest ways for you and me to interact. Thank you for all the sweet notes, and I can't wait to hear from you soon. Love y'all. This episode of It's Been a Minute was produced by
Alexis Williams.
This episode was edited by
Nina Patak.
Our supervising producer is
Barton Girdwood.
Our executive producer is
Verilyn Williams.
Our VP of programming is
Yolanda Sanguini.
All right, that's all for this episode of It's Been a Minute from NPR. I'm Brittany Luce. Talk soon.
This message comes from MIDI Health. CEO Joanna Strober shares the personal experience that led her to start a virtual care platform for women in perimenopause and menopause.
I was having anxiety, I had gained weight, I wasn't sleeping, and my primary care doctor never once said that perhaps I was in perimenopause and that all these things could be related to my hormones. So I had a really tough time for quite a while, and a friend recommended that I try a concierge doctor. She prescribed hormones for me, a combination of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. And I felt very relieved that I had this care. And I also had a lot of sadness that I had spent such a long period of time going through this and not getting the right care. And so essentially what we really want to do at MIDI is democratize access to this type of care.
MIDI Health, committed to helping women in midlife with perimenopause and menopause care, accessible via telehealth visits at joinmidi.com.